Council Steiner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the update. I wanted to ask you about the school busing situation, and I know that I think most of us felt last spring we'd come up with a plan with the school department to renegotiate, go back out to bid, and that would allow us to pay our drivers enough that we wouldn't have a shortage. And I think we did our part, you did our part, and now here we are, and it seems like we're in the same exact boat, except we're paying the company more, yet they're not hiring more drivers. And in fact, I think it's, what I'm hearing from fellow parents is that it's worse than is reported, because even though we have a certain number of drivers, every day there's fewer are going to be out because they're sick, and then they're scrambling. And so in any case, I know that we have on the schedule to talk about it in October, really a long-term plan, which I hope will include a real analysis of whether we should be bringing it back under the city umbrella. But I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on anything we can do immediately, because even if we went down that road, I think that would be for next year most likely at the earliest. I'm really hoping we can come up with something to try and address this sooner rather than later, because there's so many kids who are showing up late to school.
I agree with you. It's very frustrating, and as you know, everybody seemed to think that if we were able to give the NRT, the bus company, more money, that they would be able to pay the drivers more money and attract additional drivers. And it was determined that the only way we could do that is to cancel their contract and rebid it, which is what we did. And during that process of rebidding the contracts, they got involved with the Teamsters who organized the drivers, and the Teamsters and NRT came to a side agreement, independent of the city, to come up with a compensation package for the drivers that would now be covered by the Teamsters Union. And that was to pay the drivers approximately $34 an hour, which is more than they were currently getting paid, and it gave them some benefits as well. And that became the prevailing wage for our area once that agreement was executed, and it became the basis for rebidding the contract. We went ahead and canceled the contract with NRT's agreement. We rebid it. NRT was the only bidder, and they bid, their bid amount was obviously more than the previous contract, and the additional money was to accommodate the increased salary that they negotiated with the Teamsters. So far, so good. The problem was that once that contract was executed and NRT started advertising for drivers, they came up short again. And it's very frustrating to us, because we thought by giving them more money that they would offer the drivers enough of an incentive to attract additional drivers, and that didn't happen. And we're still approximately 20 drivers short from the contracted amount. It's true that we are looking at longer-term plans, possibility of bringing the drivers in-house. One of the problems with doing that is that new buses are not readily available. We were told that the backlog for getting a bus, if you go out and order one today, is between 12 and 18 months. We did have the foresight to include in the new bid with NRT a separate bid where they bid on just leasing us buses independent of drivers. So we have the option of getting drivers and then executing the bid that they gave us for leasing buses from them without drivers. We're looking at that. We're looking at the possibility of maybe doing it for just a shortfall of 20 drivers. We're having our legal department review that. I think long term, we want to evaluate the economics of bringing drivers in-house, which we all agree that it would be very expensive. So we're looking at a couple of different options. I'm not optimistic that we're going to be able to solve this problem in a short period of time unless and until NRT steps up to the plate and takes additional steps to hire more drivers.
One quick follow-up?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you for that explanation. And it is, hopeful that there is language, or it's good that there's language that includes the possibility of leasing buses. I've heard that we're still not paying our drivers as much as some of the competing towns around us. Do you know if that's accurate, that we're still?
We know they're offering our drivers $34 an hour, which is more than they were paying previously, but we also understand that they're paying their Marlboro drivers more. And I'm not sure the exact number because the compensation package may be a little different, but the hourly rate that they're paying the Marlboro drivers is more. But there's also other communities that they're paying less and don't have as much of a shortfall of drivers as we do. So we suspect that there's other reasons why they can't get drivers that come to Framingham in addition to the hourly rate, and we're trying to figure that out.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate the attention you're paying to it and whatever we can do. Because, we invest a lot of money in our school system. We've been very lucky with getting the funding for the programming there, but if kids aren't in the classroom, it's not paying off.
Right.
So, thank you.
Anybody else? Councilor Malik.
Thank you. I just wanted to say how excited I am about the advisory committee that's going to be looking at food scrap collection and the possibility of diverting the food waste from the landfill and saving us some money on that tipping fee.
Touche. Anybody else for the mayor? Councilor Bryant.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I was out of the room, so you may have answered this, but there was someone wrote an article that said that that the amount that you offered them or that your office offered them was less than what the school committee had recommended. So is that true or false?
False.
Thank you.
Anybody else for the mayor's report?